people that are in the middle of their career. They go to Israel, meet people from Israel, meet people from international similar people to them, and then come back and implement what they learned in Israel here. Nepali farmers went to Israel, studied it, and now you see drip irrigation all over, not in the valley, in Terai, in the west, in the east, all over the country. More than that, now this drip irrigation is made in Nepal. Made in Nepal, this drip irrigation. One of your neighboring countries is doing it.
Right.
And they become a world hub
Right.
for production of textile. Why not here? If a company or an investor from abroad wants to invest in the country, you have to give him benefits. Listen, this company is not paying income tax,
Okay.
which is lovely.
Right.
We reached a level in Israel that these smart people sell their companies and too much foreign currency is pouring into
country.
Israel. We are asking ourselves, how come a very good friend, an historically good friend like Nepal has not seen the changes and is still voting, not neutral, is still voting against Israel. And as I mentioned earlier before, we expect that the good bilateral relations will affect afterwards also the multilateral relations. I agree with you, there are not enough visits, and I think that there is a potential for cooperation on different level, and I'm always advocating for more and more visits for understanding.
Welcome to New Businesses Show. We have our guest today, Mr. Hanan Goder, Ambassador of Israel to Nepal. I hope I have pronounced your name properly.
Very
Excellency.
good. Thank you very much.
First of all, welcome to our show. Hope all is well so far.
Everything is excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So, I think this is your second stint in Nepal. So, how are you doing?
I find it lovely. Yes, this is true. I've been to Nepal earlier, from 2011 until 2014, for a term of 3 years. I don't know if you recall the slogan, the logo of the Ministry of Tourism. Nepal, once is not enough.
Yes.
So I decided to come again.
Wow, very interesting. Thank you so much for honoring Nepal government's slogan. So, let's start with your assessment of Nepal-Israel relations in recent years.
When you say recent years, it's very difficult to give the number of years. You know, we established relations in 1960.
Yes.
And you had a great leader at that time that was a great leader and a courageous person. And he worked on the interests of the country, of Nepal. And since 1960, we have excellent bilateral relations between the two countries. And it is on all levels. It is amazing to see the cooperation on so many levels, whether it is on agriculture, whether it is on health, on education, scholarships, students, workers, tourism. Let me also whisper security. All levels of cooperation are existing between our two countries, and I think this is going very, very lovely, and I'm proud, very proud to be part of it. On all cooperation of bilateral level, it is going very, very well.
May I request Your Excellency if you could elaborate on the support of different sector, be it in agriculture, in education? Can you elaborate more?
Sure. Let's give the example of the scholarships. During these 62 years of relations, we give thousands of scholarships. We call it Shalom Club. Nepali professionals that go to Israel and study, and they come to international conferences as our guests, and they study agriculture, tourism, organizations, health, education, even journalism.
Oh,
So all different kinds of cooperation, and these people come back to Nepal. You know, our idea is not brain drain.
right.
It is brain upgrade. So we are taking professionals, people that are in the middle of their career. They go to Israel, meet people from Israel, meet people from international similar people to them, and then come back and implement what they learned in Israel here. And this is making a very, very big change. But this is only one aspect, as I mentioned. This is the scholarships. Parallel to this,
Right.
we have another group
Mm-hmm.
of people that are farmers that go to upgrade of themselves in Israel. We call it learn and earn.
Right.
These people go for a 1-year program in Israel. They work and they study. And we see how they are really upgrading themselves
Right.
because they do on-the-job training with Israeli farmers in modern farms. And once a week, 5 days a week they work. Once a week they go to college and make studies and make this learning. And they have to make a research with Israeli professors. And they have to submit a paper.
Right.
And you do it with farmers from all corners of the country. 3,000 people went to Israel so far and came back. And these people are really doing a lovely work. We used to do it with a lovely cooperation with Sana-Kisan Bikas Bank, you know
Right.
them.
Yes.
Now we are doing it with different universities all over the country. And they come and they implement. And we have lovely connections with them, and they do modern agriculture.
Right.
And we see how they upgrade. I see the changes. I have the list of these 3,000 people
3,000 people only for agriculture?
for
or-
agriculture.
Okay.
So this is another aspect, and as I say, I can continue on different
So
aspects.
how
of
many people so far in going for study in different streams?
the scholarship is 3,000.
Okay.
In agriculture, 3,000+.
Right.
We are sending on caregivers also a few thousand. So
Right.
it varies. It depends on the groups that we have. But thousands are going to Israel and upgrade themselves, upgrade their knowledge. They come back to Nepal, those that go for the learn and earn. They come with 2 important things, but actually 3.
Right.
They come with money,
Right.
they come with knowledge, but more important, they come with Israeli culture of work.
Right.
How to have the spirit of making the change. And how should I say? I'll give you a small example about agriculture. The Nepali cow will give a certain amount of milk
Little only.
per day.
Yes.
4 liters, 5 liters, 6 liters, 7 liters. A happy farmer will get 8 liters. In Israel, the cow will give 40,
Oh my God.
chalis, 40
liter.
liters of milk per day.
Uh-huh.
How do we do it? No secrets, no miracles, hard work and investment. There is one sentence that every farmer that goes to Israel will learn. Agriculture is not a hobby. It's a business, it is a profession, it is a way of life. And this is what they learn and they implement it. But you think it's only in Israel? No. It exists here. In Kathmandu Valley, I can take you to these farmers that came back
Uh-huh.
and they double the amount of milk
Right.
that their cows are producing.
The cow, local cow or a hybrid cow?
Hybrid, listen, I'm not a farmer, I'm not an expert. For me, a cow is a cow is a cow.
I mean the Nepali cow who is giving only few liters, 2, 3, 5 liters, will be able to provide 20 or 40 liters.
We are going into professional issues, which I must apologize, I'm not an expert.
Okay.
But you know, you can take a female cow,
Uh-huh.
you can bring the semen
Yes.
of the male cow,
Right.
and then in one generation, you don't have to bring the cows
Right.
from outside. Forget it, it's impossible, too expensive.
Okay.
And then you will have the hybrid. You can change it, and it's not that you can change it. It is being changed already.
Okay.
And the question is how to expose it to other farmers. I'll give you another question, another example about the cows. Nepali farmer, he has 10 cows. 10 cows are pregnant.
Right.
They will have 10 babies. Normally,
Normally.
they will have 5 females and 5 males. This is statistics.
Yes.
Sometimes you have 6 and 4.
Okay.
Sometimes you have 4 and 3. Rarely you will have 7 and 3 and 3 and 7. But this is statistics. This farmer in Kathmandu Valley has 100 cows. 100 cows. 100 cows will be pregnant.
Right.
They will have 100 babies. 95 will be female.
Wow.
Now you will ask me, Ambassador, how possible? Malaita China, I don't know. I'm not a farmer. But it's possible. And again, it's not possible in Israel. It is possible here. It is happening already here in Kathmandu Valley. So the only question is how we share this knowledge and transfer it and give it to other farmers. But these are small examples. I can give you the same things about the goats, about the bananas, about the tomatoes, about the oranges, about the fish, wherever you will go. And I'm always saying, Nepal is an amazing country with hardworking people. What is the percentage of farmers in Nepal?
It is
60%.
Yes. 80 in the past, but now
80 in the past, now it's 60.
Yeah. Even
What is the percentage of farmers in Israel?
2%.
2%. And then you ask yourself,
You have been
How
quoting.
how come a country with 2% farmers is exporting
Right.
agricultural products?
Right.
No miracles.
This is-
It can happen.
Right.
And let me tell you again, and it is possible, Nepal will be able to export food. I will repeat, Nepal will export food. And this is only a question of how to make the changes. And it can happen, and I'm going anywhere, and the farmers that I see how they increase the productivity. You have a challenge.
Right.
The challenge is at the same time to reduce the percentage of farmers from 60% to 55 to 50%, and at the same time to increase
The
the
commercial
productivity.
Yeah.
How do you do it? Again, I don't know. You have to do these things simultaneously.
Actually, the percentage of farmers are being reduced.
It was 80%.
Yeah.
We
so
remember it.
Automatically, the only importance is, if we can change that non-agriculture people to really go into commercial farming, then only it will yield something.
You must, because people have to understand that agriculture is not something that you do like your grandfather. Forget it. What your grandfather did was lovely at the time. Now your neighbors are smart, powerful, and make the investments. If you will not make the investments, if you don't upgrade the farmers, if you don't introduce modern agriculture, you are left behind. And then I came to Kathmandu 2 years ago. I sent my people to buy onions. They come back, they say, "Sir, sorry, shortage, no onions in Kathmandu." I said, "Okay, well, what is going on? Why? We cannot import onions to Kathmandu." What do you mean? You cannot produce onions? What is a country that cannot? You must produce. You must upgrade your productivity. And I think that the trend is going on. I think the changes are happening.
Thank you, Excellency, for sharing this very exciting information. However, why the impact is not seen in, even people like me are not very much aware, and we don't read in the newspapers, in media, or that impact it is not seen, like you gave the example of onion itself.
So I will take you and we will go and visit together the farm with the cows, or the farm with the fish, or the farm with the tomatoes, or the farm with the oranges. You
Right.
will see the changes are happening And the question is, how do you increase it? Because 3,000 people that went to Israel is not enough. You have many more.
Right.
And the fact that you have to reduce the number of farmers is because if you don't do it, you have shortage in other things. You know in what? If 60% are farmers, you have shortage in doctors, you have shortage in teachers, you have shortage in engineers, you have shortage in nurses, you have shortage in industry. Because everybody is doing agriculture to have food. You have, every farmer has to increase the productivity, to double the productivity. So from every family, if the farmer has 4 children, only one will continue. Now you can't force it, of course. It's a matter of their own choice. People are free. If 2 would like to go farmers, but in principle, one should be a doctor, one should be a nurse, one should be a teacher, and one should be an engineer. And then you will have modern economy, modern society, modern things that will develop.
So, how about the impact in other sectors that Nepali people have been to Israel, learned and have implemented those learnings here in education and other sectors? Can you also give in some examples there?
I can clearly tell you, let's talk about education. What is happening in Nepal in the last 10 or 15 years is amazing. The educational sector is booming. The number of colleges, the number of universities, the number of people that upgrade, the number of female that have higher education. It's 50% now.
Yes.
You couldn't imagine in the past that 50% of the women of Nepal will be graduates of colleges, of universities.
But Excellency, there is a huge paradox. The paradox is that all these girls and boys are just preparing to go abroad, New Zealand, UK, USA, filling their universities and doing work there, not for Nepal. So, what is the use of that education?
This is a very big challenge. I agree with you. I see the numbers. I see the people. I see my friends that their children are going abroad. It's a big challenge, and I think this is the next coming challenge of this country. How to keep the young, smart, qualified children here in the country. But for that, you will have to make a shift. You will have to make a shift in the concept. And Nepal must develop the industry. People think that I'm an expert on agriculture and this is the future. It's a future. But the biggest number of what you need to develop in Nepal is the industry. And now, I know the reason, the excuse in the past, there was no electricity, no stable electricity. Now, we all appreciate Kulmangising. We know 24 hours a day, you will have electricity. Factories can work.
Right.
And this is the new challenge of Nepal, how to develop the industry sector to make the country to produce. Is the trade deficit here.
Excellency, can you give examples in other sector also? The education you were mentioning, we
Yes.
just our direction changed.
Let's talk about health.
Okay.
Let's talk about health.
Okay.
We just mentioned that life expectancy increased and is increasing dramatically. Every year, 1 month longer, almost 2 months longer.
No, my question was the people who went to Israel,
Yes,
studied there, and they came back to Nepal and are, creating huge impact to the society because of Israeli help. Can you give best few examples?
I know the doctors. Again, they are all in the Shalom Club, and we have the links with them, and we see what they are doing. We see what they are doing here in the health sector, and we see the changes. I visited many medical, government and private institutions, hospitals, and I see the changes. You have the good equipment here. People still, it is in the concept, I need good treatment, I'll go abroad. No, nowadays you can have very good medical treatment inside the country, in Nepal, in different hospitals. And again, I'm saying, not only the private, also the government sector, the services, the quality of the health services is improving dramatically. And again, we have a small part you know, with all the modesty of what we are doing, I would love to do more. But the fact is that the universities, the training of your people, sometimes people go abroad and come back,
Right.
which is the doctors that I mostly admire.
Right.
And I see what they are creating. So I see again and again more and more government hospital, public hospitals and private hospitals. It doesn't matter. You have the good services here in Nepal, and I think that I already see it, that sometimes people come from your neighboring country for medical treatment here.
Yes, yes.
I
In
know it.
for dental and for eye and some other. Anyway, thank you very much, Excellency, for supporting and sharing this information, positive information. Normally we talk negatives. So we discussed about agriculture, health and all that. So let's talk again about the agriculture, especially the fertilizer issue. You know, we have shortage, always, you know, problem creating, and we have been even not been able to import from abroad also. So Israel has been a very, you know, good in developing fertilizer industry, and has a very rich deposits of various minerals in Dead Sea.
Mirta Sagar.
Yeah, Mrit Sagar. So how can Nepal benefit from this situation? Your knowledge, your expertise.
Listen, this is a product
Right.
that is sold in the international market.
Right.
You pay, you get. You don't pay, you don't get.
Right.
Now I'm in a minefield because
Okay.
it's a policy.
Right.
It's a policy, and those that make the policy have to make the solution. They must find a solution. If you try to give the fertilizer subsidized, there is a question mark. Because if you subsidize it, there is waste.
Yes.
Now, if you don't subsidize it, the product is too expensive.
Cannot
So the
buy.
farmers cannot afford it.
Right.
So this is a dilemma. And,
Right.
and luckily, I'm not a minister and I'm not a policy maker. But this is a dilemma for people to find the balance between price and availability. There is no way that government can subsidize products forever.
My question is, I think there has been a talk also going on. I don't know they will really materialize or not. Government is thinking to start, manufacturing industry for the fertilizer.
This is the solution.
Can Israel help?
Of course.
Okay.
We will be gladly sharing with Nepal our technologies, our experts to establish it and to develop this sector here. You can do it.
Can you share something on how we can go
By
about
bringing
it?
the experts here, but there must be an investment.
Right.
There must be an investment. Now, investments, again, is a good question. If it is done by private sector, you know, private sector
They want profit.
is this is the clear word,
Right.
the big elephant, profit. What about the profit?
Right.
And
then again that same issue can
and
Kisan
again,
that-
but if there is no availability of fertilizers, the farmers are stuck with old traditional agriculture, and there is no hope. I mean, it's beautiful to see the farmer with the traditional tools in the field. It's beautiful, very romantic to take photos.
Right.
Don't talk about traditional agriculture, talk about modern agriculture. And fertilizers are the first ingredient of modern agriculture.
Right.
But I need to teach you also another word. And the new word in English is fertigation.
Right.
Fertigation
Fertigation.
is a word that is
Fertilizer
combination.
and irrigation.
You see?
Right.
Fertilizer and irrigation. I talk with people in Nepal and I'm trying to explain. You need to irrigate. They look at me. Sir, what do you mean irrigate? Ah, you are from Israel, you are in the desert.
Drip
In
water.
Israel, you have to irrigate. We are in Nepal. We don't need to irrigate. We have rivers, we have rain. Indra is a very good friend of us. We don't need to irrigate. No. Irrigation with drip irrigation is a magic. Why? Because it is increasing the productivity 4 times. This is how we manage to increase our production. And what we do in Israel, we use the drip irrigation,
Yes.
and it is giving the drops of water to the farms everywhere, increasing the productivity. Nepali farmers went to Israel, studied it,
Yes.
and now you see drip irrigation all over, not in the valley, in Terai, in the west, in the east, all over the country. More than that, now this drip irrigation is made in Nepal. Made in Nepal, this drip irrigation in Chitwan,
Right.
10 minutes outside of Bharatpur.
Right.
You can visit the factory, you can see how a Nepali farmer, a Nepali businessman is producing these modern tools. And you see that it is changing because he's selling made in Nepal. It is increasing the productivity of the farmers. One farmer will see it. Tomorrow, the neighboring farmer will take it as well.
Right.
So the changes are happening.
Right. Let's talk about the trade, Excellency. Actually, what we see, there are we see constraints, so many constraints in Nepal-Israel trade and investment, because still the investment is very low in terms of different industries, trade. So, it's been 6 decades long diplomatic relationship we have, but still the investment trade is so slow. What could be the reasons, and what can be done?
These are two questions. One is the trade, and the second one is the investment. On the investment, it's a good question, but I think it's not only regarding Israeli companies and Israeli business people. I don't know what are the big other investments that are here in Nepal. It's a question that should be solved. The investor is looking for profit.
Of course.
And if there is no clear way for him or this company to take the profit, they will not invest.
But there are many companies who have been doing extremely well. Joint venture companies, you talk about Encel, you talk about Dabur, you talk about Liver,
Good.
you talk about Surya Nepal, you talk about.
And who are the owners of these companies? Nepalese. Some money is coming from outside. Okay.
Of
so
course,
if you
they
find
are
a
from
way,
abroad, especially India and others.
if you come with solution that the investors will know that they can take out the money, then there will be a good solution. But you need investors from worldwide. Israeli business people are looking for it. At the moment, the cooperation that we have on investments or on companies is mainly on the high tech. And by the way, they are doing very good work here and very, very satisfied with this cooperation, because they are hiring smart people here.
Right.
And they gave them international salaries. They don't have to go abroad.
Right.
They sit here in Kathmandu and earn well. Not well, very well. Regarding the trade, when there will be products that are needed in Israel from Nepal, of course.
Or vice versa.
But you know how it is working. Nepal is a small market.
Right.
So normally the companies have an office in one of your neighbors, normally in India. And this company is so you don't see it in the statistics, you see it in the statistics
From
of
Indian.
Israel, India, or Israel, China,
Right.
and then it is coming here as a second stage. Regarding exports from Nepal, the question is what is produced here, and this is the big problem: how to increase the local production. Whenever I go to the shop, I check the product. Is it made in Nepal? We should give priority to the local products to help the production here.
Again, 2 questions here. One question is, if Israeli products are coming via India, I mean Indian party sends to Nepal, then what are those products being sold, Israeli products in Nepal, which we may not be very much aware, and which we could even do it directly, right, so that there is a probability of less price.
The main exports from Israel, and it is almost 50% these days, is high tech.
Okay.
These are products that you don't always see.
Hardware.
If you check your mobile telephone, inside it, it's Israeli.
Okay.
If you go to the hospital and you go to medical machines, inside them, it's Israeli. So many sophisticated and modern equipment is coming from Israel, because this is really becoming 50% of our product. So of course you don't see, how should I say, we are a small country.
Right.
You don't see Israeli cars or Israeli textiles or things like this. People don't understand
Yes.
that how small Israel. Nepal is 30 million population.
You are
Israel
10
is
million,
on 10 million.
10 million, yeah.
1/3 of Nepal. And if you talk about the area,
It's very small.
very small. Israel is the size of one province of Nepal.
Right.
So in terms of area, it is very, very small. Don't think that
We are a developed country, but
Yeah.
not physical.
we even don't produce cars in Israel
I know.
because the market is too small.
Right.
When you are only 10 million, we cannot compete with Japan or Korea or US or France or Germany. We are not producing
So
something.
you have been selling technology also.
Mainly.
Yeah. Right.
Mainly is
Hardware
technology.
part, and how about the software part?
Both, and innovation,
So
which is in all aspects, in agriculture, in medical field, in computers, in all equipment.
right.
Many things are coming now from Israel.
So you are here for second time, and you know
Yes.
Nepal better than sometime even a Nepali.
I am learning.
Probably,
I'm learning.
right?
Listen, I
So-
miss so many places.
So from your experience, your irrigation, what could be the technology and other things that we need and we have not been using it, and we could get it from Israel.
It's mainly in the high tech,
Right.
but you know, a high tech is a concept.
Right.
A high tech is a concept of saving manpower, human power,
Right.
because the most expensive thing in Israel are the salaries.
Right.
In Nepal, why should you use a tractor or modern machines when you can hire the workers? It is changing even in Nepal,
Yes.
because now in Nepal there is shortage of men, human
yes.
power.
Yes.
You go to restaurants, you go to hospitals, you go to agriculture, there is shortage.
Even construction field.
Construction,
Yeah. Right.
and the prices of the workers
Are getting higher.
are getting higher.
Yes.
And there will be a stage that the producer, the farmer, the industrialist, the manager of the hospital will try to find ways how to bring technology into the field, the hospital, or whatever, to exchange, to change the. But it's also happening.
On the flip side, what could be the products, Nepali products, whatever we have, little we have, or we can create new products also that is useful, and we have comparative advantage, we can export to Israel. What could be that?
You are asking me questions, and again, I'm not an economist, not an industrialist, and not a professional. But let me tell you an answer. The issue of textile.
Right.
One of your neighboring countries
Bangladesh, yeah.
is doing it,
Right.
and they become a world hub
Right.
for production of textile. Why not here? Why not here? I visited a few shoes factories
Right.
here in Nepal. Again, you will not hear the names, but we all know which companies are big and do good quality.
Right.
Copy them. What you have in go to textile, it will happen. Believe me, it will happen. It has started already, and there are some textiles and clothing and shoes companies that are increasing by day, and your products are good. The question is, how do you market it?
Right.
And how do you come to a cultural concept that your time sequence, okay,
Right.
should be followed? In Nepal, sometimes people are relaxed. It's changing with the time of
The pressure.
producing.
Right.
It will change. I'm not worried, and I think that in the coming years we will see a big boom in textile. And when I say textile, I mean the wide face of textile, not only the clothes, and it will change. Plastic equipment. Why should you import it from your neighboring countries? You can produce it here.
Right. In Excellency, it looks like that there are no efforts being made, on the both countries to increase the bilateral trade or to reduce the trade deficit that actually Nepal is facing. What could be the reasons,
Very good question. The trade is financed these days, let's be clear, let's be frank, by the number of Nepalis, the remittance that is flowing into the country, which is a very good solution for the short term.
Right.
Send your son outside, let him send, or your daughter, let them send $500 a month, and that's it. How long can you do it? What will happen to these youth? What happens when people get married? What happens when people learn another language and build their families outside? In the long range, it's a risk to lose your youth.
Right.
So this concept is very, very important, and the only solution is to make the efforts to keep the young generation, but to give them proper things to do here. You can't leave people jobless or with ridiculous salaries. It is changing, not as many people would like to see, but the changes will happen. I am sure, since I have been to Nepal 10 years ago, I have seen the changes. I've seen the changes. It's happening. It happens gradually, but it will continue to happen.
You are a diplomat, you answer very diplomatically. My question was why there are no efforts to reduce the trade deficit, right?
And I said that at the short range, there is a solution. There is a solution. Send the child outside and bring him and let them send the money. What is the incentive? Maybe this is the easiest solution. Maybe this is the quickest solution. Maybe this is a shortcut. I can't tell you. It's not that somebody is standing somewhere in the middle of Kathmandu and tell the young people go out. Nobody is forcing people to go out. But this is true. It happens. Now you are asking me the why question, and the why questions are very, very difficult. You know, I can't analyze it. Since I was here 10 years ago, I think you had 7 or 8 or 9 different prime ministers.
Yes.
So it's not that one party or one group or I really can't. I find it very, very difficult to answer this why.
Between the line. Your Excellency, your country Israel is known as a startup nation. Now so many other countries also are emulating that slogan, such nation, ABC nation. So how did Israel get such dignified adjective? What policy learnings are there for Nepal?
The magic in Israel is to understand that every problem should find a solution. And we cannot leave saying, okay, Garne, what to do, this is it, and say this is from, I don't know, from history. But find a solution. Try to improve. And this concept is of trying to improve made us to develop the startups.
Right.
And the startups are something that is clear. No borders. Minds don't have borders.
Borders, yes.
And once you find a good startup, a good idea of doing something, you can sell it outside. And even if you only sell the idea. So these startups were sold outside. Then they started developing more and more, and then big companies. And suddenly we saw in Israel young companies that are 3 years, 5 years, sold to international investors with prices of $2 billion,
oh my God.
$2 billion, $4 billion, all kind of things. And you find young people, the age of our children
Mm-hmm.
that are not millionaires, billionaires,
Wow.
from nothing, from ideas.
Just for idea.
From ideas. And the idea, the whole concept is how to let these people do what they do. So we have developed hubs of startups where there is a building, the government give a group of 2 or 3 youths an office,
Mhm.
sit here 1 year, do what you want, we give you the salary,
Mm-hmm.
we give you the salary,
Okay.
and then after a year, go out to the market. And they do it, and you see it again and again and again, and this is why we reach this
Stage.
startup
Nation.
concept. Yes.
So, government is encouraging startup
Yes.
youth. It means there must be an enabling environment for the innovators, youth.
Yes. The highest rate percentage
Mhm.
of R&D, of research and development in the world,
Is
is
from
in Israel. Now maybe we are number 2,
Mhm.
number 1, number 2, number 3, but this is a leading country, and
Mhm.
big companies understood that if they want to be in a place where people can develop, they open an office in Israel, and people develop a new product.
So, one policy is government provides salary for a year, and he or she can innovate and they can sell.
We call
That is
that
one.
startup incubators, which means
Incubators.
that
I got it.
you,
Like
you,
a
you have
baby.
to protect, yeah,
Yes.
you have to protect
Mhm.
and to help them, and whether it means that the first year after they come with a product they don't pay taxes.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
we have time.
Mhm.
Just make sure that investments pay off after a year or 2. But
Mhm.
even you have to wait. Sometimes you have to wait 10 years.
Okay.
Wait.
But if you wait, will government again support?
If you don't take taxes for governments
Uh-huh.
governments
Has
like
to run.
taxes in every country.
Uh-huh.
So to give an exemption from taxes is something which is
Mm.
governments do not like it, because it's an open game,
Actually, my question is, what are the policy learnings for Nepal? Couple of learnings you already shared, like you give salary for a year, you give space and other infrastructure. So, what other policies that may be important for us? For the startup.
no taxes for the few years.
Okay.
And if a company or an investor from abroad wants to invest in the country,
Mm-hmm.
you have to give him benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, this company is not paying income tax,
Okay.
which is lovely.
Right.
We reached a level in Israel that these smart people sell their companies, and too much foreign currency
Mm-hmm.
is pouring
In the
into
country.
Israel.
Right.
In Israel, we have a problem which you can't realize. We have too much money.
Mm-hmm.
So the government is, in many cases, encourage
Mm-hmm.
people to invest outside, because if the money will remain inside,
You will not
there is
earn
a
much.
danger of inflation.
Right.
And inflation is a disease. God forbid, you know how dangerous inflation in for any country for. So the question is how to send the investors outside. We have enough now. We are not looking for the investments at the moment.
Right. Mm-hmm. So interesting situation. Let me ask about this. Nepal and Israel had signed an air service agreement in 2002, but it is still not implemented. And what could be the reasons?
I think since 2000, 2002, the number of tourists, people that fly, is increasing dramatically. However, as I mentioned earlier, 10 million here and 30 million here. Let's look about your neighboring countries.
Mm-hmm.
India, 1 billion or 1 billion and a
1.4
half,
billion.
1.4, never, listen, I didn't count. How many flights we have between Israel and India?
I don't know.
To Delhi, there is not even a daily flight from
Wow.
Israel to Delhi.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is not a daily flight,
Mm-hmm.
we have 4, there will be 5 flights. Between Israel
Nepal
to a
and
country, so how do you
It's not
expect
feasible.
that there will be, you need big numbers.
Mm-hmm.
However, I believe, and we are trying to promote it, that there will be charter flights during the seasons. You know Nepal. You know Nepal very good. We talked about it. You have 3 months in the spring and 3 months in the autumn. 6 months of the season.
Yes.
Maybe there will be charter flights
Right.
between the two countries for these seasons, and that will be a great opening. And talking about charter flights, the most prestigious destination in Nepal for Israelis is not the Everest. It is the Annapurna.
Right.
Surprisingly.
Yes.
And people, I have no explanation for that. But the Annapurna became like the Israeli Mount Kailash
Yes, I know.
for Israelis. Again, I have no explanation for it. And Pokhara airport,
Yes.
you know, Annapurna, Pokhara is a lovely destination. Maybe there will be charter flights 3 months in the spring and 3 months. So, but you know, the flights are run by the private sector.
Okay.
Our national carrier, El Al, Israeli Airlines, is not owned by the government.
Right.
So if they would like to fly, they will be happy. I will tell you how the Israeli government encourage companies to come here. We pay.
Okay.
The Israeli government / the Israeli Ministry of Tourism is putting a note for foreign companies and saying, every plane that is landing in Israel, you'll get this amount of US dollars.
Right.
And every plane that has a number of passengers, tourists, that you bring to Israel, you will get money.
Wow.
And the companies are standing in line because they know that they have stability. They know that if they bring the tourists, at least the Ministry of Tourism of the State of Israel will support them. And then suddenly there is a beautiful destination in Israel called Eilat, which is the Israeli Pokhara, where foreign companies are standing in line to bring tourists from Europe. So this is the idea. Now you have to think of ideas. We did not invent it. It's not the first time that is happening. Now, to tell you that this is what Nepal should do, maybe, but I'm not a professional.
It means there is an opportunity for Nepali national flag carrier also to go to Israel,
and
start earn, but they,
stable money from the Israeli
but
tourism.
for that also you need air service agreement.
I think we have a service agreement, and I think that
Yeah,
services are already done in
so
Israel.
Nepal Airlines can get, and how much is that money Israel government gives? It depends on the number of tourists and all that.
Of passengers, yes.
Passengers,
Yes,
okay,
yes.
okay.
So they are getting supported, and this is how you build a hub.
So you said that there will be charter flight. Is there any specific timing or anything like that?
No,
any planning
I said that it is involving the
possible.
private sector, and the private sector has to find, to be in the private sector is a risk.
Yes.
If you lose, you lose.
Yes.
So sometimes the private sector does not want to take the gamble.
Okay. For that, government must take the risk first.
But governments also don't like to waste the money and to go into new project, because if they lose,
They will lose.
they will lose the credit and then the public relations and the so sometimes the private sector can gamble and they can take the risk and can make the effort and try, but it's up to the private sector. We can put it, and this is why I'm saying it, that companies, airlines are flying and are getting paid by the Israeli Ministry of Tourism. Maybe you can do it here.
Excellency, can I ask you this question? Israel is a very rich country, but the tourists, the Israeli tourists who come to Nepal are comparatively low spender. What may be the reasons?
It's a question. It's a good question. The Nepal has an image of a country of adventures,
Mm-hmm.
and adventures normally go with young people. What to do? But it is changing. I hosted last week. There is a group of elder people, and more the percentage of young people that are coming
Mm-hmm.
is decreasing. It used to be 90% of young people only.
Right.
Now it is less than 50, but they come for very long periods.
Mm-hmm.
When you check by statistics,
Mm-hmm.
the Israeli tourists stay here
Mm-hmm.
30 days,
Mm-hmm.
which if you calculate by amount of money, it's true that a wealthy elder person spends in 1 week what a youth
Mm-hmm.
will spend in a month.
Obviously.
So in terms of numbers,
Mm-hmm.
I think that these young people eventually spend what elder people are spending, but it's all changing. And another important statistics: the number of tourists of Israelis here is like pre-COVID. We are back to normal.
Right.
I mean, this. I
Yeah.
hope. Listen, we all read the news. I hope that this dark chapter of COVID
Will
in the
close
world
soon.
is over,
Right.
and I really hope that 2023
Uh-huh.
will be even better than 2019, which is the last year before COVID.
Right.
2020 and 21 and 22 were terrible.
Mm-hmm.
22 was okay,
Mm-hmm.
80% of pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But 23, I have the belief that it will be more than the pre-COVID. Now, we have to understand it. I know I'm saying things that are clear. Tourism is a major engine for development. You need to build roads, vehicles, guides, hotels. Now the tourists, they don't want to enjoy the dalbat every day. Sometimes they ask for prestigious restaurants. So, and it is changing the image of the country
Right.
dramatically. Now, Everest is in my dream. I'm not saying that Everest is not special and unique. It's lovely.
Uh-huh.
But you have Lumbini, and you have Bhaktapur, and you have Kathmandu itself, and you have so many treasures
Right.
around the country that I'm sure that you will be able to develop these things.
Mm-hmm.
Lake Rara.
Yeah.
Who heard about Lake Rara outside Nepal?
Mm-hmm.
It's hiding.
Right.
Now, how do you encourage people, tourists, to go to visit Lake Rara? Think about it. I can give you the idea, but again, as I said about
Yes.
agriculture or health, I'm not a tourist expert.
Right.
I can give you my advice, but you have things to develop in the country.
Right.
Don't wait for it. It's maybe you want to keep the secrets to yourself, but ask how many Nepalis visited Lake Rara.
Mm-hmm.
Very few.
Very few. True, Excellency. I know this question you may not like, but I have to ask you that though Nepal was the first country in this region to set up diplomatic relations with Israel, and very long and cordial relations have continued for such a long period. However, in recent years, Nepal has been noticed to have increasingly siding against Israel in a number of United Nations forums. So, how is the reaction of Israel, and what may be the reasons? What's your take on this?
The issue of relations is complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Relations between countries have two legs.
Yes.
The first leg is bilateral.
Yes.
The second leg is multilateral.
Right.
Bilateral relations are seen, are understood, are heard, are reported. The tourist, you see the tourist. The scholarships, you see the scholarships. The caregivers that go to Israel, you see the caregiver and you get the income. All these things you see. Visits, security connections, you see these things in your eyes. What is happening on multilateral is less seen. When you talk about multilateral, it happens in two places generally. One is New York, Nations Assembly, and second one is in Geneva, the Human Rights Council. Now, people are not aware, but United Nations, some of the hostile neighbors, are presenting every year 20 resolutions against Israel. We expect that the very good bilateral relations will have an effect, will have an impact also on the multilateral, although they are separate, although they are different, although they are independent. And I think that the Middle East these days is changing quickly. That our good relations with the neighboring Arab countries it's flourishing. You know, we have opened an embassy in Bahrain. We have an we opened an embassy in United Arab Emirates. We have dialogue with the Saudis. We have dialogue many years with Jordan, with Egypt, with Sudan. I wish that they would, with Morocco, with many other, on the ground, under the ground. So we are asking ourselves, how come a very good friend, an historically good friend like Nepal has not seen the changes and is still voting, not neutral, is still voting against Israel. And as I mentioned earlier before, we expect that the good bilateral relations will affect afterwards also the multilateral relations.
Have you ever thought, analyze what could be the reasons? Is that our politicians who are supposed to vote, represent Nepal and vote in UN, not very aware, or they are, guided or pressurized by some groups? For example, the Arab world, many Nepali, far many numbers Nepali go and work there. Because of that interest also, Nepal maybe not very interested, or things like that. I don't know what.
This is something that you have to ask others. I will tell you, and I will repeat on what I said with the relations of Israel and the Arab world. We are in the Middle East. Our neighbors are in the Middle East. Our cooperation is with the Middle East. Our trade is in the Middle East with many countries in the Middle East. We have security cooperation. So there is no reason for Nepal to put this. That is clearly not the reason. Maybe it was the reason in the far past, but this is clearly not the reason.
Can we also say that your approach, has not been enough to convince Nepali authorities? Can we say that?
It's a good question. You know, when there is a vote and you look at charts and you see the votes, everything is on the internet these days. So the way that countries are voting is published, but some of the issues there are really we can't understand this pattern of voting, and I hope that there will be a change.
What I see is there is a very few exchange of visits by high level from both countries, people of both countries, and for almost nil, last several years. That is also maybe one of the reasons, and why there is no visits between these two countries in the high level.
I've seen a few visits, but I agree with you, there are not enough visits, and I think that there is a potential for cooperation on different level, and I'm always advocating for more and more visits for understanding. I was in Israel during the visit of the former foreign minister. We had a visit here of an Israeli agricultural minister, but again I agree with you, there is a need for more and more visits between the countries to develop and to nourish the relations, and we are working on it. I really hope that there will be.
Okay, so let's hope that we will start charter flight soon, and there will be very premium tourists also from Israel to Nepal, and some Nepali tourists also go to Israel. Then that's how it will start, and address our very close friendship again, the relation.
I take it with you. I agree with you, and I will be happy if there will be these direct flights from Kathmandu or from Pokhara. I think that this can be lovely for both countries. And when you talk about benefits, bilateral cooperation is always good for both countries. I always give this example of the caregivers that we sent in the last year to Israel. 1,000 Nepalese
are working as
working in Israel on a project that we started together with your embassy in Israel that really pushed for it hardly, and it's going very, very well. And these people are happy in Israel, and they make good learning of Israel, good income in Israel, and they come back to Nepal, and I see the results when they come back. People have to understand in Israel, not like in other countries, the laws regarding Israelis and the laws regarding the Nepalis are the same. Same salaries, same vacation days, same medical treatment, same health insurance, same conditions. So when they go to Israel and they earn 2 lakh and more, it's tempting. And we are happy. It's a win-win situation. It's a win-win situation because you have good people. The Israeli employers are satisfied, are happy with this. I hope that it will continue. I hope that we will be able to open this market for cooperation on other fields, other sectors like agriculture, tourism, industry, or construction. I think it's good for both.
Anything else you like to highlight, Excellency, when you talk about Israel-Nepal trade relation, bilateral relation, or any topics?
I will only give the Nepalis my own recommendation and appreciation. You have a wonderful country.
Thank you, Excellency.
Keep it. Keep it. People use to treat what is going outside as if it's there and it will always remain. We are getting these warnings from the climate and from the gods. We should be careful. Don't neglect your country. I'm not saying only to Nepalis. All of us, also in Israel. Don't neglect your country. Don't take it for granted. The way that people are treating the plastic and the environment and the pollution, I'm asking myself sometimes, why do you neglect? I mean, Nepalis are so patriotic. Why do you neglect it? And this is something that is also very common to Israelis and Nepalis. We are small countries. I always say Israel and Nepal are like a small goat. We have big elephants standing next to us. And the elephants are not evil, but they are careless. They don't
bother.
They don't bother. Okay. Now when the elephants are fighting,
then you will be in a problem.
We have a problem. They can crush
big problem.
us. But also when the elephants are loving, we have a problem. You have seen the movies. So anyway, Nepal and Israel has these challenges. And we have to be careful and to protect our interests. And this is something which is very, very special, and this is why Nepalis and Israelis understand each other easily. And when you have these challenges, you have to take care of your interests. Nepalis and Israelis are proud people. We are small, but we are proud. Every morning when you brush your teeth and you look at the mirror, maybe we are not beautiful, maybe we are not perfect, but this is what we are. You are proud and we are proud. You are proud of your language, of your culture, of your music, of your dancing, of your literature, of your beauty, of your nature, of the mountains, of the terai, of the forests, of everything. You are proud and you don't want to be different. You don't want to be somebody different. You want to be better. But you don't want to be somebody else. You are Nepali and you are happy. We are Israelis and we are happy that we are Israelis. And this is why these two nations, and we are small.
Yes, and we both have glorious histories.
So I hope, I wish Nepal, you know, you are, I wish you more and more to flourish and to change and to preserve, keep the good things and not lose them.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
I'm very happy.
Thank you so
very
much.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.